To start, I'd like to talk to you here at the desk about what is the fastest, easiest way to learn English. It's a question I asked almost every student who I've ever taught. Many of them would answer, I don't know. And I would say, okay. So if I said to you, I'll give you $1 million if next year at this time you can speak Russian fluently, like a Russian. You can read it, you can write it, and speak it with anybody on the street in Moscow. What would you do to get that $1 million? A lot of students would pause and they'd be like, oh, gee, I would take Russian lessons. And then I'd be like, well, here in Japan? And they'd say, no, I would go to Moscow and study Russian every day. And I would say to them, well, you know, that might be fast. That's called total immersion. You're completely in the language 24 hours a day, in the culture where the language is spoken as its native language. But it wouldn't be easy, would it? Think about it. You can't eat the food you've grown up eating. You've got to eat Russian food. And if it's going to be effective, you can't talk to people in your native language in Moscow. You have to speak Russian, and it's going to be very difficult at first. So it may be fast because you'll be in Russian every day, 24 hours a day, but it's not going to be easy. What's the easiest, fastest way? My students would be a little confused. I'm not sure, they would say. Some of my students would actually say it, though. And they'd say, I'd find a Russian girl. And I would say, aha, you have an idea. The fastest, easiest way to learn English is falling in love with a native speaker of English, an Australian woman, a Canadian woman, an American woman, a British woman, an Irish woman. If you fall in love with that person, you're going to learn the language very quickly, very easily. Why? Why is that the fastest, easiest way? I've known people who have fallen in love and become fluent in a language, in several languages. I've heard this in Portuguese and French. Become fluent in the language in 6 months with very little study. What's going on? And my students would think about it. Well, it's because you care. It's because you want to speak. And I was like, yeah, that's the thing. What it is your head and your heart are coming together and the learning becomes easy, right? Think about it. What have you learned in the past? What have you learned in your life easily? Like it didn't even take any time. Maybe it was playing a video game and you were able to pick up on the game and play the game really effectively and get the high scores. Why? Probably something in that game really caught your mind and you had a real desire, a strong feeling for the character, for what was happening in the game, the design of the game. And when those things came together, it was easy. But then there are those things we learn that just don't come together. It's something you have to do. It's something you don't really want to do. And you're fighting, your mind and your heart are fighting because what your heart wants to do is what you like, what you love, what you are interested in. But your mind is telling you, I have to do this. And then learning becomes very difficult. So what we're going to do in this course, and all the courses at PoppSensei.com, is get your mind right and make sure that what you're studying, how you study, is bringing that connection to you so that learning English becomes fast and easy.